My name is Kelly Olson, and I am a graduate student at Drake University in the Adult Learning and Organizational Performance program. This Pecha Kucha presentation is designed for ALOP 247 and discusses Keegan and Leahy's immunity to change process and how the practice may assist organizations in achieving success and change initiatives. It was Charles Darwin who said, "It is not the strongest of the species that survive, nor the most intelligent, but rather the one most adaptable to change." Given the demands and corporate changes employees are expected to work with, it is essential for employees to identify and recognize both their abilities and capacity to adapt. People resist being changed. This resistance to change is profoundly influenced by both a person's perception of the impact that the change has on one's life, as well as the amount of control one can exert over the change itself. For instance, moving to a new town is a big change, but is a personal decision within one's control. Organizational changes are typically placed on employees and are not personally chosen, thus deemed less desirable to the person impacted by the change. For instance, a restructuring of teams into new roles. These changes leave the person feeling out of control, resulting in employee resistance to change. Edgar Schein expands on this notion. It's just not a joyful process to give up your values and your beliefs. If somebody comes along and tries to change how you think, you are likely to walk away unless that person can somehow hold you back. The personal change model is present on many bulletin boards in corporate America. The steps are broken into small, manageable chunks, showing the process as manageable and simplistic. 4 quadrants with 4 distinct emotional responses. The goal is to arrive at commitment, moving through each of the quadrants and adapting to the new desired state. Employees often feel that the organizational changes are a Sisyphean feat, working through the change model from denial through commitment, reaching the top only to be encountered by the next organizational change, and roll back to another cycle of denial, resistance, exploration, and commitment. In this organizational model, change is simply dealt with, goals set, actions taken and achieved. Everyone moves on in the new desired state and there is no looking back. There is simply adjustment to the change, a new hiring manager, a new system. There are no actual steps taken to account for the individual change taking place. This is seen in the approach to the obesity epidemic in America as well. Diet programs abound with goal setting, take action, check that off the action list. This is still unsuccessful. Studies indicate that most who diet will regain 107% of what was lost. Simply applying a technical response to the change needed, say losing 15 pounds, is met with failure. Atwood addresses this in his article. He states that until one really works the process step by step and makes the necessary adaptive capacity building changes to the underlying issues, we will stay stuck. Keegan and Leahy's practice to diagnose the individual's immunity to change process helps organizations peel back the onion, allowing time for personal reflection. This practice uncovers self-protective mechanisms, competing commitments and big assumptions that impede change. Per Keegan and Leahy, the behavior that seemed irrational and ineffective suddenly becomes stunningly sensible and masterful. Ismail declares that 66% of major change initiatives in organizations end in failure. Perhaps this statistic would change if the organizations implementing that change recognize that their real agent for change, the one with the power to make it successful, is the employees within the organization. Use of the immunity map will lead the way to success. Change is not new in my organization, and the results of change management can be felt far and wide. Many of our employees have their feet both firmly planted on the gas pedal and the brake. The rebellious kid in all of us loves a little noise and smoke for a few moments. Successful leaders, however, will find the way to steer out of these moments. Keegan and Leahy rally behind the success that has come from their work on immunity mapping and the efforts to overcome personal big assumptions. They, however, temper this with the fact that the goal of this exploration is solely to help the employee become more effective and not to find flaws in their work or their character. This process requires the employee and the manager to work together, putting pen to paper to identify the improvement goal and create the immunity map leading to success through change or performance improvement. It will be essential for the steps to be taken in a place of trust and with a commitment to achieving goals. Immunity maps are applicable to managing and enhancing individual performance. In one case, an employee wishes to see a performance rating improve from a level 4 to a 5. Drawing out competing commitments and big assumptions will aid the employee with what Kerfoot says, labeling behaviors that do not agree with our expectations, keeping the immune system intact. Ismail supports the process, saying that if change is undertaken in a systematic, planned, disciplined manner, with a clear understanding of the emotional factors that drive change, and with encouraging buy-in from stakeholders at all levels, then even the large, seemingly impossible change is easily achievable. Central to the success of using immunity maps in performance management or organizational change is the desire that the individual has to commit to change. A person must really want to accomplish their goal in order for this to be successful. Keegan and Leahy liken this to a gut feeling and the fire you have in your belly. If you don't feel in your gut that you can achieve it, you won't. Individuals have the most to either lose or gain, or better, lose and gain from change. It is not enough for the organization or the manager to say you need this. Unless the employee sees the value and feels internally that they will benefit from the unpleasantness of the change, the goal will not be achieved. Managers implementing the use of the immunity to change model will help their employees identify their competing commitments and their big assumptions. They should allow time for the employee to observe these and incorporate safe changes that allow them to make breakthroughs in their performance as well as their adaptation to organizational change. Finally, change takes time. It is important to know that the successful implementation of this process does not result in organizations being able to implement change overnight. This process must be handled with care and changes made incrementally for lasting behavior change to take place in employees.